Hello, and it's day 4, and I can't believe where the time has gone this week. A very warm welcome to all of our guests joining today. My name is Nikki Jones, and I'm absolutely delighted to be your host for today's event, as well as for the remainder of this week, as we celebrate a full week of Everyone Can Automate. The response to our past 3 days has been amazing. To be honest, I'm living off the energy rush following all the feedback we've received. So a huge, heartfelt thank you for your participation. It's really no secret this event comes at a very exciting time for the industry, as some of you will have heard from our very passionate CEO, Mihir Shukla, in opening on Monday. It's undeniable that there's a tectonic shift happening in the automation space, which, as we know, has been fueled by a couple of things like, well, a global pandemic, which then accelerated the digital transformation agenda. We have increasing technological innovations, and so the list just goes on. But until recently, automation has been employed in businesses primarily looking to streamline and accelerate tasks for back office functions like finance, accounting, and human resources. All very important, but as we'll hear today, not the only game in town. As automation, AI, and work converge in the enterprise, new technologies are emerging that address the shifting skill set of enterprise workers and how they, or rather we, consume technology. In addition to this changing landscape, your customers' expectations are changing fast too. Always on, real time, omni-channel. It's all here to stay as customer intelligence continues to grow, all learnt by the example set by the web, Google, iPhone, not to mention our tech-savvy younger generations. We've learned from advances in consumer technology the need to make technology in the enterprise easier to use, easier to consume, and easy to access. Now, if we look at this story through a digital assistant lens, we have this concept of skills which are built-in capabilities. In an Alexa environment, a skill might be playing music, answering questions, or giving you the weather forecast. Now look at this same concept, but within the enterprise and the ability to understand and process a lot of content, especially as the volume and complexity of content continues to grow exponentially. Valuable information and insights, vital for decision taking, lives within your CRM, BPM, and ERP systems. So the role of automation is changing so that it can automate tasks and deliver information both from and into systems. The benefits are going to be amazing. Rapid deployment, easy to configure, easy to consume, human-like performance without the need for outages such as weekends, summer holidays, and sick days, dare I say. Now, for those of you who may have missed our many LinkedIn posts over the last week, Everest Group named Automation Anywhere a leader in its robotic process automation assessment for 2021. We were recognized not only for our cloud-native platform, our pre-built integrations, and our Google Cloud relationship, but our ability to bring new consumer-like experience to the enterprise through ARI, our bot-to-human interface, simplifying everyday tasks, which is where today's presentation and all sessions this week have and will continue to be focused. And this is precisely why we're launching this event, to help companies like yours get ahead, or in many cases, stay ahead of the automation curve. I've said it before and I'll say it again. If you're anything like me, you'll no doubt have 101 questions. Could I please encourage you to ask those questions in the event chat, which we will be monitoring throughout the event and will address, time permitting, at the end or immediately afterwards in follow-up with you directly. Now, today's presentation is going to be a real treat. We hope you're ready for something a little bit different. We've decided to turn the classic role play on its head, as I think we've all had enough of PowerPoint slides for the last 18 to 20 months. Whether you're someone in the contact center, business, or sales operations, I'm confident our very own Sean Gourley and his amazing talents will not disappoint you today. But before we go there, let's just lean into the contact center. There can be no doubt that the contact center is a hotbed for automation, from tools such as chatbots, sentiment analysis, to workforce optimization. All these point solutions are geared to make employees more productive. While this does improve operations to a certain degree, agents are still struggling to meet business SLAs. As we know, contact centers are heavily measured on KPIs, so falling below the average has its implications. One of the most common indicators of efficiency is average handling time, meaning how long it takes to complete each transaction. Agents struggle with improving AHT due to the underlying complexity of their processes. Many stretch far across 4 or 5 systems just to understand what a particular person has in terms of benefits and entitlements, for example. Now, before I go on, stop me right there. It gives me great pleasure to introduce to the virtual stage Sean Gourley for today's presentation, Everyone in Operations Can Automate. Sean, over to you.
Hey, thanks Nikki for the great intro. You're always such a hard act to follow. Now, a little bit about myself. I've been involved in process of automation of some kind or other for around about 12 years. More than a quarter of that was actually spent here at Automation Anywhere, but probably the most important years I've spent in this field were part of my 10 plus years at American Express, where I first got involved in RPA. I have actually witnessed firsthand the power of RPA, whether it's a return on the investment, improving quality, adapting to changes, and most importantly to me, personally empowering people to do their best work they can be proud of and encourage them to grow. Now, how does this fit in with the many challenges faced by operations teams today? I'm not going to just focus on a single ops team or function here, but rather recognise the shared concerns that I am sure all of you are all too familiar with as op leaders. I won't bore you with the now all too familiar play of RPA. I'm sure many of you are all too well versed in the benefits of running bots behind the scenes, performing repetitive tasks with easy to define business logics. It works, it's great, and it ends up with some real huge savings, not just in budget, but also quality too. But what about the mountain of works we somehow still face today? The tasks that require critical thinking, making informed decisions based on our experiences and context of external factors. Simply put, business rules cannot predict or neatly summarize. So to add the end-to-end collaboration with other teams who are we are reliant on for their input, and the business units who are dependent on our own performance and output, the decisions and actions, or indeed bottlenecks impacting our ability to meet these targets, impacts not only ourselves but also our peers around us. This is also going to have a knock-on effect to our customers and stakeholders. So how do we improve the quality, reduce the time and effort required to complete our tasks, and whilst at the same time allowing our people to shine? Just so you know, I'm basing the following narrative off of my own personal experiences across all the different workplaces I've had the chance to work at. Though this is not based on any one particular instance. I am hoping that the different parts of this may actually sound pretty familiar to you though. So here we go. I would like to change my address on my account, please. Absolutely. May I have your new address, please? Yeah, sure. It's 29 Acacia Road, Beanotown, SA61 2XQ. Just give me a few minutes and I'll find all your accounts and update your details. Is this going to take long? I've already been on hold for a pretty while. Thank you for bearing with me. I do need to check a few systems, so it's going to take a couple of minutes. So, 2 minutes have now passed, and after a couple of failed login attempts, Adam has finally logged into all the systems he needed to check. Are we done yet? I don't have much time left for this. I'm sorry about this. The systems are being a little bit slow today. It won't be much longer. The systems aren't any slower than normal. Okay, I'm done. I've found all your linked accounts and I will now submit some cases on your behalf to have your addresses updated for you. This should only take 8 to 10 business days. Pardon? After all that, It's going to take 2 weeks. Look, I really have to get going now. Just make sure this happens as soon as you can. Right, bye. Thank you again, Mr. Hello, sir? Right, you hang up. I better get this case updated before the next customer comes through. Hi, you're through to Adam. Thank you for calling. Now, what's happened here is, whilst Adam was in a panic trying to search the several different systems for linked accounts, he ended up mistyping one of the account numbers. And with the customer ending the call so abruptly, Adam didn't have a chance to basically place himself in an after call work state. So the next customer had already come onto the line and Adam did not have time to basically review his notes. So he just hit send. Now, what do we have here? This doesn't look right. These two accounts don't even belong to the same person. This one has a fraud warning to boot. I best boot this over to the account security team. Now, what do we have here? They have an old fraud warning on one of these accounts, but looks like they're trying to change the address on this other account, which is clearly not theirs. I best block these accounts right now. Hi, I tried to log into my account, but everything seems to be locked out, and I just get this message telling me to contact this number. What's going on? What's happened to my account? Is everything okay? Well, we have seen some suspicious activity on your account, I'm afraid, sir. Did you attempt to change the address on your account or anyone else recently? Yeah, what? I updated my account a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, sure. Why? What's going on? That's fine. That's all I needed. Let me put you through to our support team so that they can process your address change for you once again. I'm transferring you now. Hi, you're through to Adam. Thank you for calling. Wait, what? What do you mean? Are you trying to tell me my address wasn't updated? What happened? Hold on. Call volumes and wait times are growing and now impacting our original forecasting. What's happening in these calls? I have no idea right now, but what I'll do is I'll look through the case track in my teams. I'll also bring it up with each of my teams in our one-to-ones. I need to discuss anyway why we're not hitting our minimum targets. I really need that data as soon as possible. I need to update the forecast as the teams are starting to request leave before the annual holiday season. Without any update to the forecasting, the system was just going to approve too many people's time off when we really need the extra capacity. Now, where's that mail shot campaign list I prepared last month? Now, perhaps I should have asked the marketing team for a little bit of cash so I can actually do a proper demo or at least hire some real actors. But I hope it helped you visualize just how some basic struggles that we all are having to face today. You can see here that not only was our promise to deliver not met, but we ended up frustrating the customer, and we've even added some extra work for our peers. So this is just going to add further compounding volumes of work to ourselves, the other teams, and pressures all of us involved. It's not a place to grow or succeed. We're simply spending too much time trying to manage or keep our heads above water. Now, if we can somehow sync all these teams together, allow everyone to be able to see the journey taken and what the objective actually is, to be able to work in real time with our peers and our bots at the same time, to digitally enable our people to deliver their best work seamlessly with little to no training. Just allow our team to do what they were hired to do. So let's see how human-bot collaboration along with RE can really improve things. Hi, I would like to change my address on the account, please. Absolutely. May I have your new address, please? Yeah, sure. It's 29 Acacia Road, Beano Town, SA 61 2XQ. Thank you. This is only going to take a moment. Just going to scan for your linked accounts now. And that's done. Great. Okay, I just need to quickly get in touch with a colleague of mine to approve an item. It will only take a second or two. Please bear with me. Hey, no worries. I have plenty of time. I got straight through. Okay, one of the customer's accounts seems to have a fraud warning on there, but they're trying to update their address. That's fine. That's all I need. Okay, great. Okay, all approved, and your address will be updated by tomorrow. Thank you for your patience. Is there anything else I can help you with today? Great, thanks. That's everything. Bye. Okay, thanks again, and have a wonderful day. Okay, just going to let the bot pull all the info from all the systems. And all looks good. Great. just run this task here and we'll update all the accounts and confirmation. Great, done. Right, give me a second. Let me just check ARI for the data. Okay, I can see that there was a spike in address changes, but the average time to resolution is way down and well within our new SLAs. The NPS scores are way up, first contact resolution is also up, and the total number of calls are actually down. So I hope it'd be okay if I get some time off, if I give them some time off the phone so that my team can actually get trained up on upselling techniques. I think we could really add some extra value here. Now let me rerun that forecast estimate, and based on that new data, yeah, that looks good. That looks good. It looks like we have some spare capacity, so let me get your team booked off the phones for that training. Okay, great. Got some updated contact info. Let's get this into the system before we send the file over to the printers. We don't want them missing out on this VIP discount. So there we go. We took a process that, even if it went well, would take about 2 weeks. And we ended up cutting it down to a matter of hours with the same people you have today. There was more time to focus on quality. They spend less time on correcting errors and just generally improving the relationship with our customer, all by inviting bots to work alongside us. We let the bots perform the actions that they do best, and that leaves us to do what we do best and enjoy it even more. Now, let's take a look at a short video of ARI in action. This is a completely different process, by the way, but it still represents how people can work together in real time, making informed decisions thanks to the data gathered by our bots. Now, in this different example, we're going to be following along as an agent is working with a customer who has requested a line of credit increase. So we're just going to follow as the agent logs into their CRM system. And this particular bot at this point is actually going to be running some local desktop automation, what we call ARI for desktop. So what's happened here is that as the agent logged in, a trigger was activated and the bot ran automatically based on the application running, and the user that's logged in is asking if they want to use the tool. And once they do log in, you can see here that we've got this custom built form that's part of the process. And we have all these options at the top here which actually help define what flow the agent wants to follow. In this case, credit limit one. And you can see here a new form is built specifically for this particular flow. So as they go through, you can see here at the very top window, we've got basically directions as you go in the description what to do next. And as they're completing these actions, you can see the instructions keep growing as well. You can see that at the same time in the background, the bot is actually processing that data, retrieving it and bringing it back into the form as well without the agent having to do anything here other than just follow the instructions. This ensures that we always follow the correct procedures and also make sure that actually new agents can pick up other new tasks in real time without having to take lengthy training to be able to help deal with any sort of high bandwidth periods. So here we can see here that the agent's going to now fill in the blank details. You can see the required data here, and they're going to fill it in. And what the bot's going to do now is run in the background, as the human being can do actually other tasks at the same time. But the bot's running in the background, going to Experian, pulling out the different requirement for the credit check, and the human's able to work in real time alongside the bot on the same device. The bot's now finished. It was able to process the credit check, and it's going to feed all that data directly into the form. And we can see here actually we get this little warning at the bottom here. So if you hover over that, you can see here that actually approval is required. So we actually get this feedback to the end user. So quite a few different actions have now been populated at the top. The agent can scroll back and through them as needed, read what the next steps that need to be done, and make a judgment if they need to continue going forward, but based on the reaction of the customer. So the customer still wants to proceed, and we've got all the steps here, which is a great way to keep a history of what's been done so far automatically. But also we actually have the ability as well as the agent to override these case notes and enter a more personalized message designed for this particular encounter. So we're just going to give it a moment for the agent to fill in the details. And the agent is basically just writing a quick summary needed for the manager to approve it or not. So they're going to click on the send to manager and submit. And what's going to happen here is automatically in the background, the bot's going to send a case over to the manager, but it's also going to send a quick email to the customer as well. So the customer's going to receive an email with a tracking reference, all the details they need. Here we go here, should have now arrived. And at the same time, what it's going to do is it's going to send an email over to the manager. So we'll be able to see that using the corporate email of the company. There we go. And the manager's going to see something like this. So we're now going to assume the role of the agent's manager. So they've received this email with the details in there, and you can see there we've got this little RE web portal link. So we're now going to start using RE for web. So this is our multi-user, multi-bot sort of process flow interface that simply is all done for automation anywhere. The manager logs in, and they get to see all the cases open for them and their team. So they can filter there, search by only the open ones. And we can see there's that credit limit increase one. So the manager can now open up that particular item. And you can see here that it even comes through with all the data that's pertinent to this particular request. And we can see the next action in the line is to review the customer's details and assign that to a member of the team. Now that member of the team, we're going to assume Bruce's role here. Bruce can actually look over that data, use their expertise, and decide to either reject it or approve it. In this case, they didn't meet the criteria, and Bruce has rejected it. Now, the Bruce is not going to have to do much more else now. The bot will actually initiate the task to run on a separate device at this point here. You can see it on the virtual machine, and it's going to complete all the actions needed. And we come back here, we can see that the whole history is now complete and the whole task is now successful, and the request is now closed. So the manager could still log in and just validate that themselves as well. But in this case, what's going to happen is a quick email is now going to go to the customer. So they've got real time in moments, the human decision, which could have taken days normally. Obviously, for the customer's perspective, I wish they probably hoped for a better outcome from their perspective. But of course, this is making sure that the lender is meeting their obligations as a responsible lender.
Didn't I tell you you were in for a treat? Sean, thank you. Thank you for that creative. Thank you for that thoroughly inspirational presentation. My chat, just for everyone's reference, is absolutely on fire. Loving the creativity, loving the unique nature. Some divided opinion, who can relate to Adam or who can relate to David, the customer? Did he really want to make that 2-week wait? But it was just so lovely the way that you got us all involved and kind of on that journey with you. So I almost can't wait to get to the Q&A, as I can see the questions as well are pouring in. But before we do, let me steal a moment to share with you a special offer. Friends of Everyone Can Automate, if you would like to start your journey with ARI now, as I'm sure Adam would love you to, we are sharing with you a discount code entitling you to 50% discount on your ARI licenses. Now, as you would expect, terms do apply, so please flag your interest by dropping us a note to everyone@automationanywhere.com, and we'll send you the information about the offer and how you can get started. Our team were genuinely overwhelmed by the response to this yesterday and the days prior. I think the first request started coming in for details in less than 30 seconds after we finished broadcasting. So that email address for you, just one more time, is everyone@automationanywhere.com. Right. Let's dive into the Q&A. I don't know how to address you. Do I call you Dave? Do I call you Adam? Or do we stick with Sean?
I might go with Peyton now, actually. I'm kind of attached to that name now. But no, thank you so much, Nikki. It was, I have to say, just rather run-of-the-mill for me, that type of presentation. Takes me back to the days I was in the AAU doing training.
It was absolutely fantastic. So thank you very much. I'm not going to ask you how long it took because I know it took a long time and no budget for marketing either. So hats off. Right. Let's dive into these questions, Sean. We've got some corkers here that I'd really want to share with you. This first question has popped up each day, and you'll not be surprised. So I'll pose it to you if you don't mind to get your perspective. You talk through there some of the use cases that you've experienced in the past. Which types of processes, which types of use cases would you recommend to our viewers, given our capability now with ARI? What are your thoughts around, the digital assistant capability?
Oh, that's a fantastic question. And I'll tell you what, a few years ago, when I was actually more in the customer space myself, using sort of back-end queue-based automation, it was a very finite sort of list where you had a lot of strong boundaries on, is this process defined by business rules? Is it regimen? Have you got control over the systems? And all these sort of scoring that you can build into it. And then you look at the return on investment or whatever the business case is afterwards half the time. But now that this is the future I was really hoping for. This is why I came to automation anywhere, was for technology like this. And now we're in a place where those rules disappear. We're no longer bound with automation to purely look unattended on its own, running just a fixed set of business rules. So the process list expands open. You're going to now start looking at processes which are more dynamic, because you're going to have humans in the middle, you're going to have humans at the start, humans at the end. There's human-bot collaboration, which means that you can now break down the actual automation into these little modular chunks where the bot can do these repetitive tasks. And if the process changes, it's a very small effort to quickly adapt that. And the human beings in the middle obviously will adapt to change. So there's going to be less downtime. And you're going to be able to bring the sort of entry requirements for return on investment right down as well, because it's going to be so quick, efficient, and easy to build and cost effective to build. So I really think that right now that actually there is no limit to what automation can be now, and everything is possible by anyone and everyone.
I love that. The sky is the limit, Sean. That's what we're saying.
Absolutely, absolutely. But to help people on that journey as well, I think, you can now look at the updated return on investment calculator as well to actually help you gauge that effort, and look at some of our other stacks as well, such as bringing in Discovery Bot as well to help you define that process. So right now, I literally don't think there's going to be any bounds for automation, and anything is possible.
Amazing. And just for everybody's reference, that ROI calculator is something that we can work through with you that Sean just mentioned there. So if that's of interest, then please do get in touch. So the sky's the limit. We can go anywhere. We can do anything, Sean. That's what I'm hearing. How do we prioritize? How do we prioritize these use cases into an order of what's first, what's second, and what's third?
So where do you begin with your new automation prospects? I think straight away you can hit the ground running, especially if you've already got a saged automation practice running in the background right now. You're already going to have dozens, hundreds of items in your backlogs right now, which never really cut mustard to be able to become a full-fledged automation. Or you just literally look at your reject pile as well from before, because some of these cases just weren't viable. So you can hit the ground running with looking at what you have today. And you can also repurpose the bots that you have today as well to just start automating and getting everyone being part of that automation journey. Once again, I'm going to revert back to that wonderful calculator that you guys have developed, and also the Discovery Bot to help you then start cementing that down and really understand that process. But you can start looking into your own teams. I don't think there's any reason to start worrying about retraining your different teams of operational excellence teams to try and find these new processes. It's all there ready to go, minimum effort.
Fantastic, thank you. So aside from the Office of Hollywood, we've got a couple more questions here that I really want to delve into, Sean. I want to take you back to the last few bots that you Sean have created. Can you tell us a little bit about those? I know that there's a couple of quirky ones in there, so I'd love to have you share with the audience some of the things that you've created for yourself most recently.
Definitely. So I think the most recent bot that I've actually built it actually was literally for myself and my family. What's the jargon of my boss at this point here, but the last bot I built was actually around helping me, my family, my whole extended family as well, my wife's extended family, to quickly use Ari, linking that with digital assistants such as Siri on their phones, or Hello Google. I should have said that online. People's phones are probably going crazy. And basically order lateral flow tests on demand.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so it all started off with trying to get them from my parents and my mother-in-law. And, you know, I needed a way to help them not try and be their tech support for a change, to be able to use the tools that they use every day to order the lateral flow test for them whenever they needed them. This is really important for my nieces and nephews who are at secondary school and my own kids at school as well. And basically, I built a process, built it on Ari, got everyone access to that, and simply I tie that in with a shortcut command on their phones. So they can literally say, hey, I'm not going to say the word without activating people's phones around the country. Order me a lateral flow test. And it would log in as them on an unattended machine in the background, order that out, get it sent to them, and give them a quick update on their phone just to say that that's been ordered and dispatched for them to receive it. And that it's a bit geeky, a bit of fun, but at the same time, it's just made life a lot easier.
I feel like I can see the orders coming in for that bot right there. The queues will be many for people wanting that particular automation. I think that's absolutely fantastic. What I'd really like to know, though, is, you know, from a consumer perspective, your mother-in-law, your nieces and your nephews, how do they grapple with the technology? Were they, you know, how did they find it when you put this into their hands? Were they starstruck with technology, or did they get to grips with it pretty easy?
Well, this is the thing. So at first, when I sort of coined the option, and obviously there was hesitance. There was the unknown. There was this big fear of that you're going to build this robot to do this, and they didn't understand how they would interact with it. And by the time I built it, and then as I said, showed it to them, it was a case of going that the first time you come in, just log into this portal here. Here's a login, and securely put in your NHS credentials for saving the password of the credential vault. But I made that really easy for them. I put this little thing where it just pops up as soon as they're logged in. They filled in the details. You securely logged that into the credential vault. And then I said, look, all you need to do now is literally activate your phone's digital assistant. I had to send them the little shortcut on how to do that. And they just literally asked their phone. And that was it. I was like, how you guys are just using Siri to set a timer for the pasta or something like that. Just use the same technology. So they found it really easy and really intuitive. There was nothing for them to learn at all, but they were getting to control a series of robots in the background and getting feedback for them too.
Which is amazing when you think about it. These people are not from the world of IT. They can use, they can consume this automation capability that you've gifted to them to make their lives easier. So how does that translate into the workplace? Do you see similar adoption, Sean?
Absolutely. There's so many things that we all do today, which requires to log into like multiple systems and be able to react to the world around us. And a lot of that frustration could be taken out and let us focus on achieving the goals that we're actually hired to achieve. Focus on the things that gives us job satisfaction. But also, I think what's probably more important is allowing businesses to become much more reactive with the people and the expertise they have. They don't need to retrain people. With Ari, you get to define a process end to end, have the humans where they have their involvements in that, and you can scale it out to people who've never even done that job before. But because of the prompts that are built into the tool, they don't need to worry about how accessing a new application. They don't need to worry about sorting out their credentials. That could all be done on a back-end credential manager. They don't even need to even physically interact with those core new systems themselves. They follow the prompts and they deal with the human aspect with the people they're servicing or the people they have to work with, or just taking the years of experience and looking at external factors and context to give a valid decision on that process. So there's next to no training need just to be reactive to changes in the market, increase workloads, moving one person from one team to another. You don't have to go through 2 to 6 weeks of training for them. So I think there's a huge power in that, and it allows businesses to be more responsive. And more importantly, something that I always love is allowing people to acquire new skills, learn new parts of the business without that steep learning curve of having to learn all these new systems and architectures and access rights that they're going to need as well. It just allows people to be more human.
Makes onboarding a whole lot easier as well. I was reading a report the other day that said, I think it was a PNC report that they did a recent study which shared that about 35% of agent time is wasted navigating across tools and the organization. That's a staggering amount of time that is just spent in the corridors, essentially being non-productive.
That's certainly not from the perspective of the people doing it. They're working their socks off at that time under high pressure to interact with those systems. When they're getting pressure from the different business leaders all the time to speed up, be more efficient, but yet they're dealing with inefficient systems as well, which is causing them stress and making them do bad practice and getting them to be distracted where they should be focusing on the key critical decision making. So yeah, totally. It's I've known that firsthand myself, and I think that can be a bit of a conservative estimate as well at times.
Indeed. We don't want to be David, the customer waiting for 2 weeks. And I know that we've all been there with various different organizations, both in our personal and our professional lives. Another question, they've got so many coming in. This is a great one. And you may well have answered it with the COVID, the lateral flow test automation that you created. What automation, Sean, have you been most proud of? That's a biggie.
Oh, yeah. God, where do you begin with such a question? There's so many metrics you can base that on. Was it the bot that had a direct impact on increasing revenue by a couple of $1 million here? Or was it a process that I automated that actually was a cost avoidance measure that saved like over 100 million in regulatory action or oversight? Some examples, true stories I've done. I'd love to have one-to-one conversations with people about that. But I think probably the thing that I was most proud of was getting involved in disaster recovery automation, things that actually had no immediate business return on investment necessarily in itself, but just doing good deeds in the community. There has been a few natural disasters happened in my career, unfortunately, around the world. And a couple of companies that I've worked for had key initiatives where they had a select task force of qualified RPA developers, product owners, and stuff like that to jump in and help the contact centers respond to not only the customers, but the people affected by natural disasters. So whether that be a hurricane here, an earthquake there. And I remember building a process literally overnight. It was actually nearly about 30 hours of non-stop work, me and a small team. And we managed to build a process that would help identify customers who were in the impacted zone, who've been in the impacted zone in the 2 weeks prior to that natural disaster, and more especially so looking at people who became inactive afterwards. So putting them in the hotspot and trying to start reaching out to those people, trying to send them text messages, freeing up amounts on their card so they can start pulling out cash on their card over beyond their limits, and to give them text messages where there's like water drops, where there's shelter, where there's food, where there's medical attention and stuff like this as well. And also trying to make sure that these people can communicate with their families as well and invite them to come and contact us. Now, traditionally, when something like this happened, that could take days, or if not weeks, to get people off phones, get them trained up, build some systems to start interacting with that. And already at this point here, tragically, people's lives could be lost at this point, and people could be in really huge distress. So be able to work overnight, by end of the next day, having people to be able to jump on, have this support with them there, and all they need to do was literally man the phones and talk to human beings and spend more time talking to human beings who are in distress and need was just magical. And I was really privileged to be part of something like that. And I really hope I don't have to do that again, but should that sort of need arise again, I would love to be involved in such automation cases again as well.
I think that's truly incredible. And I think it also takes solving problems in real time to the nth degree. I mean, you're really showcasing there, whether it's lateral flow tests or saving the human population. There really is a bot, or rather an automation, that can help in either of those scenarios. So hugely inspirational. I don't know if anybody else feels the same way, but I feel like I could unpick this with Sean forever and a day, because I know there's been so much of your time that's been invested in automation and simplification of processes through automation, right?
Mm. Yeah, I generally love this stuff. I just love the fact that we can now help people just focus on what's rewarding for them as well, and really help accelerate people's careers and prospects.
So talking about careers, I'm going to delve a little bit personally now into your career. Given your extensive field background, if you don't mind me saying, and you don't mind me asking, why did you choose to invest your career with Automation Anywhere, Sean?
Gosh, yeah, this is going to take me back a few years now. So yeah, as you know, I've been here what, 3.5 years, but I've been automating tasks for over 12 now in total, and most of that was self-taught. Most of that I just got hooked on just trying to improve my ability to deliver on my targets by getting rid of all the stuff that I wasn't particularly good at, all the monotonous stuff. I love dealing with problems and dealing with individuals and working with people. Um, but and I was really excited to start getting to RPA when I was offered the chance. But I started to become really frustrated of this very linear, sort of very narrow vision of what a process that needs to be automated can be. There was a lot in the way of I had more criteria to cut a proposed process out of automation than I did to keep it in there and invest in that task. And the backlog was just huge. And there were so many items in there which it came close, but not quite. And it always stayed in there. And years later, never got a chance to deliver upon it and just frustrate their business customers. I started exploring various different tools on the market at the time. And one thing I started to see was something that resonated with me, this idea of end-to-end automation beyond just a work team, beyond a unit, beyond a individual process or accountability, but look at what comes before a process, look what comes after your process. How do I link all these stuff together? These disparate systems, disparate people, different goals and agendas and targets, and the inefficiencies that come from that. And I came from some pretty large organizations where obviously there's a load of efficiency there, but at the same time, there's a lot of silos. And I always found that automation should be there to enable people to deliver their best work. And when I started seeing what Automation Anywhere was achieving, even nearly 4 years ago when I started looking into it, I was really amazed at the focus on transactional automation and bringing in AI elements into their automation, looking at the forward and trying to make it more human and more real and more tangible. And I have to say, I'm really glad that I came for an interview here and got the job, because it really paid off in just loads here. This RE is exactly what I wanted from automation beforehand. It is what I feel it's always been the future, and always been that having a digitally enabled workforce is the future. It shouldn't be there to hinder us. It should just feel intuitive. It should feel natural, in the same way that as human beings, we interact with technology all day long in our lives. It's intuitive, it's easy. You don't need training to Google something. You don't need training to use your phone, but yet these are supercomputers decades ago. So bringing that into automation today, bringing in RE, making it easier to find the processes with like Discovery Bot, using a simple to use, easy, intuitive interface, which has a huge amount of technical capability behind it, but is accessible and has a very gentle learning curve to start using it, is imperative. I think everyone should have the right to invest in their own careers and invest in their own futures, and to be able to build the tools for themselves to help themselves succeed. And I think Automation Anywhere is uniquely positioned to offer such technology that's so accessible, but yet offer the power user and the more involved and experienced RPA developers the powerful tools behind the scenes as well, to really shape reusable, scalable elements of automation that fit in with how business actually run, how people work. That was a very long-winded answer.
It was just, I don't even know how to follow it. I'm not going to lie. Your energy, your enthusiasm for this, Sean, is just boundless. Like literally when we go off live, my question to you is going to be, what's next? What are you going to automate next? Because whatever it is, I want it. Ladies and gentlemen, sadly, we're out of time. I want to say a huge thank you for being with us here today. I genuinely hope you enjoyed, I was going to say our creative content. I hope Sean's inspired you with his creative content. Please don't forget we're back here tomorrow with Theo Licky, who will share with you how everyone in finance can automate. Once again, another eye-opener. Please tune in and bring those finance colleagues with you. Take care and thank you.